The Honda Ridgeline. It's Honda's oldest product in their current lineup today, dating back to 2006. Now, when Honda first built the Ridgeline in 2006, they intended it to be a pickup truck for people who actually aren't really pickup truck buyers, if that makes any sense. No, what I mean is, the vehicle is not like your traditional pickup truck, as Honda typically doesn't like to follow the crowd. It's not a body-on-frame vehicle, it doesn't have a V8, it's only available in one cab configuration, which is a crew cab with a 5-foot-long bed. And it's very car-like. This vehicle is much smaller in footprint and it's much easier to maneuver. So, is there a reason to still purchase the Ridgeline today? Well, let's find out. Now, even though the Honda Ridgeline is the oldest vehicle in Honda's lineup today, that doesn't necessarily make the vehicle a bad choice. Older vehicles often are more reliable, as, the newer models, they say, tend to have the bugs, a lot of, first model year problems that start out, and then they slowly work through the issues as you go through the model year. Now, 2009 actually represents the third year of the Ridgeline. It was significantly updated for 2009, thankfully. The main differences are the exterior styling changes. The rear has some new taillights, the front has a new grille design. Interior-wise, it's still roughly the same. Now, the Ridgeline is available in 3 trims. There's the base RT, the mid-level RTS, and then the top-of-the-line RTL. What we have here is an RTL with navigation. This is the most expensive and highest trim Ridgeline you can buy. Now, these 18-inch wheels that you see are actually new for 2009, and they actually look really good. I really like the Ridgeline after the 2009 facelift. For 2012, there was a new sport trim level, which I've shown you guys before on a previous channel. I actually really like the sport model for its its styling changes and whatnot. Of course, this is Honda's oldest lineup in their product line today, and on a model like this, for example, it does come with Bluetooth, backup camera, satellite radio. However, you have to get the top-of-the-line RTL with nav to get the Bluetooth system. That's always been a common issue with older Hondas. Honda's finally realized that they need to include Bluetooth on other models, and they've slowly been cycling it down to every other model on their lineup today. Now, coming inside, you can see the interior here is actually quite large. It does have a black leather interior with this particular model, and because this is a car-based unit, the step-in height is actually pretty nice, not like every other pickup truck where you have to kind of get a running start to get into the cabin. Here's the key for the vehicle. It's Honda's old key. There's nothing really special or new that I need to report with it. Old-fashioned, don't expect to find push-button start in this vehicle. The gauges are actually updated for 2009. I like the new gauges that they put in the vehicle. And of course, I like the old Honda chime. Now, shutting the door, only the driver window is automatic up and down. Every other window is manual. Now, the interior in here is very old school Honda. You can even see an airbag cover for the passenger side. Newer cars today actually have a flush mounted system. And you can see there's the navigation system. My gosh, does it take you back to like early 2000s, because the graphics you can see are just horrid. The street names are crunchy, you can't read anything. Brian Cooley would definitely hate this car's navigation system. It's a very dated system. But at least because this is an RTL, you get leather wrapped steering wheel, you get leather seats in here, you got heated seats, you got satellite radio. The dash materials are hard touch plastic everywhere, and this material here is pretty cheap actually. I really don't like this material. This part of the dash has a much better graining, and of course this right here is kind of reminiscent of the older CRVs with that little storage there. You actually get an auxiliary port right there. Coming to the glove compartment here, it is not damped, and it's very old school Honda the way it kind of just falls and slams, but it's a pretty decent size. You do get dual zone automatic climate control with this vehicle, kind of just Honda's standard sound system here. One nice thing about the center stack here is it's actually adjustable. You have some extra storage in there. You can put, like, I guess, files and stuff like that. You have even more storage down here. You have some storage right there, cup holders right here. The center console here is really just mostly a lid. It's not really much in the way of covered storage, although I guess this can be considered covered storage right here, as this piece right here is kind of adjustable, and you even have a full power outlet right here. I don't see a USB in this car. I've been looking for one, and I do not believe this vehicle has a USB, but it does have an aux port right there, so you may not have a USB on the 09 models. 5-speed automatic is the transmission on this vehicle. And it has an old school column shifter, which is not necessarily my favorite. I constantly kept going to the 2 instead of the D mode. But you do get a moonroof here, and you can see that the moonroof controls are pretty old school. They're over here on the driver's side, and it's not automatic like all the newer Honda systems that have a moonroof today. But at least when you put the vehicle in reverse, You do get a backup camera, but it doesn't have any distance markers or trajectory. It's pretty old school and featureless. Now coming to the rear seat of the Ridgeline, it is actually a pretty decent back seat. The Ridgeline is only available in a crew cab configuration, so don't even think about trying to find a regular cab or a super cab. Now the back seats, like I said, pretty good space. You have really high bench, so your knees aren't really in the air. You even get air vents back here on this RTL model. That's a nice touch. Nice touch as well as is the armrest here with the cup holders and a little bit of storage. It's overall a pretty nice place to spend time back here, and you have dual mat pockets in the front seats, and then the door panels in the rear seats pretty much carried over from the front seats. It's all hard plastic, but you do get soft touch right there where your elbows are going to rest, and then some storage as well. The rear seat, thankfully though, does kind of have the little magic seat trick that my Fit has. You can actually pull this handle right here, and the seats will actually fold up to reveal, I guess, sort of like a flat floor where you can put some stuff here in case you don't want to put it outside. And then to put it down, just pull the handle again, and the seat just falls down. Now coming to the bed of the Ridgeline, there's actually two ways to open it. You can open it the traditional way, like this. And there's no hinge or anything, and it's not hydraulically assisted. The bed will kind of just fall. This is the traditional way to open it. You can also open the bed by opening it this way with the little release sign right there. And there's actually a little handle right here you can pull on. And the bed actually opens this way as well. Pretty nifty little feature. I think the Ridgeline was one of the first vehicles to introduce that. It also has a really nice lockable underseat storage right here where the spare tire lies. You can actually fill this up with ice, as there's a little drain area. You can actually turn this into like a cool box if you really want to. And thankfully the bed comes like this with the composite lining on the inside. It's only a 5-foot bed, and I do not believe you can open that portion to extend it into the cab like you can with a Chevy Avalanche or a Subaru Baja. The Ridgeline doesn't allow you to do that. Now, because this is a Honda product, you get one choice only for the powertrain. Honda's corporate 3.5-liter VTEC V6. It makes 250 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. Impressive numbers actually back in 06. Today, in terms of numbers, it's pretty weak. But the numbers don't mean everything because the vehicle actually moves out pretty well. It's paired with a 5-speed auto, and it comes standard with Honda's variable torque management all-wheel drive system. So let's take a look at how it drives. Now the Ridgeline is more of a car-based design pickup truck, so let's take a look at how car-based this vehicle actually drives. One thing about the Ridgeline is that it actually lacks a telescoping wheel, so it does kind of make it a little bit hard to find a more comfortable driving position for, I guess, shorter folks drivers. I'm okay in this vehicle. It doesn't really bother me that much. Now, like I said, I don't like the column shifter because I constantly go past D and into 2, annoyingly. Now, as soon as you drive the Ridgeline, it kind of feels just like a Pilot. I mean, this is based off the Pilot Odyssey platform, and it actually feels pretty car-like. I mean, this is a car-based vehicle, it's not a truck. The ride is definitely where you notice it to be the most car-like. This has a really smooth ride, and the V6 engine makes some pretty pleasant noises as well. Of every other Honda V6, you kind of have to rev the vehicle. I mean, at 5,000 RPM, you have the VTEC crossover, and for some reason, it sounds extra loud in the Ridgeline. I've always been quite impressed with how the V6 sounds in the Ridgeline. The 5-speed auto does about its business pretty well. It has really crisp shifts, and it's matched to the engine's power band pretty well. I guess it could use a 6-gear, but honestly, when Honda's 5-speed auto came out, it was one of the best in the business. The ride quality, like I said, is really good, and there is a little bit of wind noise from, the boxy shape of this vehicle, but that's not bad. I have to say though, I mean, if you're looking at a 13 Ridgeline, the current, like a brand new one, I will have to say an F-150 probably is just as quiet and comfortable. The seats are just as good. The V6 has decent power. I mean, it only makes 250 horsepower, which is actually quite down low for the class, but I feel like it is a little bit underrated. It is rated, however, at 1520 mpg. That's not really any better than a full-size F-150. So Honda, when they plan to redesign this car, they really need to work on the gas mileage. I mean, you can get an F-150 at 1723 or a Dodge Ram right now at 1725. That's with the V6 engines and the 8-speed auto. So Honda has their work cut out for them in terms of gas mileage. The nav system, as you can see, is just horrible. The screen's actually a pretty decent size. However, the graphics to me are just awful. I mean, this is just really awful, and this is the kind of nav system that you can kind of still get today on a Honda Fit or a Ridgeline today, and it's it definitely doesn't deserve to be in this kind of a product, especially at the price point. When you're driving the vehicle normally, it is a little soft initially. It's torqueless. I mean, you have to get the revs up a little bit, but it has pretty good power once you get it going, and of course, like every other Honda V6, it sounds really good. It makes really nice noises. The handling is pretty good, actually. It does a really good job of masking the fact that how big this vehicle is. The steering has a good feedback. It's actually a hydraulic power steering. It's not electric like all the other systems, so that's the reason why the gas mileage isn't as good. But it has a really good feel. It feels like the tires are connected to the road and not to some, video game or something like that. Now, the variable torque management all-wheel drive system on this vehicle is completely automatic. There's no little button or whatever you can engage to put it in low range. However, it does have a VTM4 lock button here that activates all four wheels up to 18 miles per hour just to get you unstuck in case you're stuck in some mud or some snow or something like that. I do like the new gauges for 09. The older 06 to 08 Ridgelines had a rather chronograph style, crunchy looking instrumentation that just wasn't as easy to read. This one just looks more classy and looks more updated than the old one. The brakes have a really good feel as well. I'm pretty pleased with the brakes. They have a nice bite and they feel confident. Now, the turning radius of the Ridgeline is actually on the huge side. This is a long vehicle. See, for a V6 and a pickup truck, this thing's pretty badass sounding to me. But anyways, if you guys are in the market for a more car-like based pickup truck and you wanted a compact, but compacts are getting few and far between, I definitely recommend the Ridgeline, if that's what your style and taste is. However, if you're looking for a real pickup truck, you really need to check out an F-150 instead, or a Dodge Ram or something like that. But anyways, guys, I hope you've enjoyed my quick overview of this 2009 Ridgeline. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all later.